All right, here we go.
Why do we care about the Nazi regime? Can anyone tell me why we are obsessed? We are obsessed. Western media is obsessed. Films are obsessed. How many Hollywood films have you seen about the Nazis? Lots. Tens. But the bad guys, the stock bad guy, right? Of course. Yeah, I mean, why are we obsessed? Why is the media obsessed? Why do you come to Germany? You, how old are you? You're 15, 16, yeah? What? Yeah. I mean, what were the questions on your minds when we spoke? It was all about Hitler, the Holocaust, the Nazis, the Jews. So why do we care? Why are we obsessed about them?
The Nazi regime is very like juicy in a way. There's a lot of drama and a lot of potential, but also we could learn a lot from the Nazi regime, so we don't repeat the same mistakes later on.
Even historians who pride themselves on, trying to be really objective about everything, agree that the worst regime we've ever seen in, as much of living history, right? So, what different perspectives could you have on the stories you tell about the past? Anyone who is going to talk about history is going to choose what they think are the turning points in the story. You're going to tell a story about Hitler came to power. Well, if you believe that individuals are important, what are the important moments in the rise of the Nazi Party? A historian wanting to know starts with the research question. Why? Why did it happen? Maybe starts with some biases. Is it collective or individual action which makes things happen? And then maybe we'll make their timeline based on that perspective on how things work through history. What kind of history is this? It's political, right? Political history, right? Because political historians are interested in elections, political parties, leaders. And where do they fall in terms of the individuals versus collectives? I like the fact that it's a little bit ambivalent, right? Because some people are really about Hitler and his people. Other one could be more on the party and the ideas that they represent. But it's the idea that politics change history. Things happen because of what happens in government. What kind of documents are we going to look at to be able to determine the turning points in history, what this timeline is? What do you think? What kinds of things would we want to dig down into the archive to get? Election results, good.
Newspaper reports?
Yeah, what the newspapers say. Speeches, you guys are good. What else? Come on. Government documents, right? Government documents. Okay. And what do we call these sources in history? Yeah, good. Primary sources. And what's the difference between primary sources and secondary sources? Yeah, that's right. These are more closer to the event, more firsthand. Let's look a little bit more to the collective and not to the individual. Not to the leader's story, but to the story of mass movements, of classes, of people, right? So maybe you'll be more interested in protesting, history of mass movements. Yeah? Yeah? Testimonials, for example, yeah? About mass movements. Diaries, letters, so forth, right? What would be maybe another thing that might link us to social history? Demographics. You know what I mean by demographics? Age groups, population. We're here trying to look in the big, not in the small, in the big, about how the big movements in history are working, demographics. How about another theme we might be interested in? What's a big change which affects lots of people in the Weimar Republic? Hyperinflation, the economy, right? So we would like to look at the stock markets, right? Now I've gone at some length about this because it's important, talking about individuals and collectives, talking about different perspectives of history and different ways of telling the stories of history, which could be based on these leaning one way or the other. Political history versus social and economic history, and of course there's also cultural history, which is looking at artworks or intellectual history, looking at ideas and how they move through time. There's not just one way to tell a story.
It's important for a historian to get students to think about things in a multi-perspectival way. Let's think about it as reaching into a toolbox. We have many optical instruments with which to see the past. You pick up one, and through it you can see through elections, through party politics, through policy. You pick up another, and you can understand it perhaps through the history of ideas, through the thoughts of great thinkers, or the art creations of an era. There are many different perspectives. We want students to be able to own these perspectives, to own these instruments, to use them, and to contribute to the way they think about things critically in different situations. Certainly there's not one way to think about the past. We don't want students simply to accept history as a series of dates and names. No, there's not one way to think about it. We want to think about the multiplicity, the multi-perspectival diversity of the past, to be able to engage history in 3D, not simply from one point from which you stand.
Excellent. Comments? Or was it